Canto 2 of the Lusiads. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Leni. The Lusiads, by Luís Vaz de Camões. Translated by Sir Richard Francis Burton. Canto 2. 'Twas now the period when the planet bright, whose rays distinguisheth the hours of day, did at his longed-for tardy goal alight, veiling from human eyne his heavenly ray. And of his ocean home, deep hid from sight, the god of night-tide oped the portal way, when the false crafty foe came flocking round the ships whose anchors scarce had bit the ground. Mid them a villain who had underta'en the task of deadly damage spake aloud: "O valorous captain, who hast cut the rein of Neptune and his salty plain hast ploughed, the king who governeth this island fain to greet thy coming is so pleased and proud, he wisheth nothing save to be thy host, to see thee and supply what need ye most. And, as he burneth with extreme desire so famed a personage to behold and greet, he prays suspicion may no fear inspire, but cross the bar-line thou and all thy fleet. And, sith by voyage long men greatly tire, thy gallant crew by travel toil is beat, he bids thee welcome to refit on land, as certes nature must such rest command. And if thou wendest seeking merchandise got in the golden womb of the Levant, cinnamon, cloves, and biting spiceries, health-dealing drug, or rare and excellent plant, or if thou lust for sparkling stones of price, the ruby fine, the rigid diamond, hence shalt thou bear such full, abundant store, that in thy fancy shall affect no more. Unto the herald straight our chief replieth, grateful acknowledging the royal hest, and saith that seeing Sol now seawards hieth, he may not enter as becomes a guest. But when returning light shall show where lieth the way some danger, with a fearless breast the royal orders he will list fulfill, a lord so gracious hath claim higher still. He questions further, and the land contain Christian peoples, as the pilots swear? The cunning herald, who ne'er speaks in vain, voucheth that Christian men dwell mostly there. Thus doth he banish from our captain's brain the cautious fantasies of doubt and fear, wherefore the Gama straightways 'gan to place faith in that faithless unbeliever race. And as condemned felons he had brought, convict of mortal crime and shameful deed, who might in similar cases danger fraught be ventured where the commonweal has need, a twain of wily well-tried wits he sought, bade them the moorman's craft and trickeries heed, go spy the city's power, and seek to see whether desired Christians there may be. Fair gifts he gave them for the royal hand, to quit the goodly will the greeting showed, by him held sure and firm and clear and bland, whereas 'twas cleanly of a country mode. Now all the route perfidious and nefand, quitting the squadron o'er the waters rode, with gladsome joyous gestures all deceit, the pair of shipmates on the shore they greet. And when in presence of the king conveyed the gifts they gave, and message did present, far less they witnessed as 'bout town they strayed, than what they wanted on their work intent. The shrewd sagacious Moors pretences made to veil from sight what they to see were sent, for where reigns malice there we ever find the fear of malice in a neighbour's mind. But he, for ever fair, for ever young, in form and feature born of mothers twain by wondrous birthright, and whose wilful tongue would work the navigator's ban and bane, dwelt in a house the city folk among, of form and vestment human, who did feign to be a Christian priest, and here had raised a sumptuous altar where he prayed and praised. There had he limned, figuring aright, the Holy Ghost's high heavenly portraiture, hovered the dove in snowy plume bedight, or the sole phoenix, Mary, virgin pure. The saintly company was shown to sight, the dozen, in that sore discomfiture, as when, taught only by the tongues that burned with lambent fire, men's very tongues they learned. Thither conducted either comrade went, where hateful Bacchus stood in lies arrayed, and rose their spirits while their knees were bent before the God who sways the worlds he made. The perfumed incense by Panchaia sent, fuming its richest scent, O th' altar laid Thyone's son, and now they view, forsooth, the god of lies adore the god of truth. Here was received, for kindly rest at night, with every mode of good and trusty greeting, the twain of Christians, who misweened the right done holy show of holy counterfeiting. But soon as Sol returning rained his light on sombre earth, and in one instant fleeting forth from the ruddy-eyed horizon came the spouse Tithonian with her front aflame, returned the Moorman bearing from the land the royal license with the Christian pair that disembarked by our chief's command, for whom the king feigned honest friendship fair. The Portingal assured no plot was planned, and seeing scanty fear of scathe or snare, when Christian peoples in the place abode, to stem the salty rivers straightway stood. Advised him the scouts dispatch ashore, that holy clerk and altars met their side, and how received them the friendly Moor, while night's cloud shadowed mantle cloaked the light. Nay, that both lord and liege no feeling bore, save what in kindness took a dear delight. For certes nothing told of doubt or fear, where proofs of friendship showed sure and clear. Whereon the noble Gama hied to greet gladly the Moors that up the bulwarks plied, for lightly trusteth sprite without deceit, and gallant souls in goodly show confide. The crafty people on the flagship meet, mooring their light canoes along her side. Merrily troop they all, because they wot the wished-for prizes have become their lot. The cautious warmen gathered on the land arms and munitions, that whenever they're made ride at her anchors near the riverine strand, the work of boarding may be readier made. With deepest treachery the traitors plan for those of Lusias such an ambuscade, that reckless of the coming doom they pay the blood debt dating from Mozambique Bay. Weighed are the biting anchors, rising slow, while customed capstan songs and shouts resound. Only the foresails to the gale they throw, as for the buoyed bar the ships are bound. But Erycina fair, from every foe, glad to guard and guide her race renowned, seeing the black ambush big with deadly bane, flies from the welkin shaft swift to the main. She musters Nereus' maidens fair and blonde, with all the mania of the sea-blue race. The water princess her commandment owned, for the salt ocean was her natal place. Then told the reason why she sought the laund, with her whole bevy forth she set apart, to stay the squadron ere it reached the bourne, whence ne'er a traveller made to life return. On they hurry, scattering high the spray, and lash with silvern trains the spumy white. Doto's soft bosom breasts the briny way, with hotter pressure than her wonted plight. Springs Nise, while Nerine seeks the fray, clearing the crystal wavelets' nimble light. The bending billows open wide the path, fearing to rouse the hurrying Nereid's wrath. Borne on a Triton's shoulders rides in state, with fiery gesture Dionaea fair, nor feels the bearer that delicious weight, superb his cargo of such charms to bear. Now draw they nearer, where stiff winds dilate the bellicose armadas sailing near. They part, and sudden with their troops surround the lighter vessels in the wayward bound. Girt by her nymphs the goddess lays her breast against the flagship's prow, and others close the harbour entrance. Such their sudden guest, the breeze through bellied canvas vainly blows. With tender bosom to tough timber pressed, she drives the sturdy ship that sternward goes. Her circling Nereids raise and urge afar the threatened victim from the hostile bar. E'en as to nesty homes the provident ants, their heavy portioned burdens hailing slow, drill their small legions, hostile combatants, 'gainst hostile winter's war of frost and snow. There are their travails given to their wants, their puny bodies mighty spirits show. Not otherwise the nymphs from fatal end labour the Portugueses to defend. Their force prevails, astern the flagship falleth, spite all aboard her raising fearful shout. Boiling with rage, the crew each yard-arm hauleth to port, and starboard putting helm about. Apoop the cunning master vainly bawleth, seeing that right to forn upon his rout uprears a sigurd rock its awful head, and present shipwreck fills his soul with dread. But as loud call and clamour 'gan uprise from the rude sailor toiling hard and keen, the Moors are frighted by the news it cries, as though they sighted battle's horrid scene. None know the reason of such hot surprise, none know in similar press whereon to lean. They hold their treacherous felon tricks are known, and present tortures must their crime atone. Lo, with a panic fear themselves they flung in the swift sailing barklets which they brought. These high uplifted on the billows hung, those deep in water diving safety sought. Sudden from starboard and from port they sprung, by dread of visionary sights distraught. For all would rather tempt the cruel tide, for none in mercies of their foes confide. Of such a fashion in the sylvan mere the frogs, a brood of Lycian blood belong, when fall of coming foot perchance they hear, while all incautious left their watery home, wake marish echoes hoping here and there to scape the perils threatening death and doom. And, all ensconced in the well-known deep, naught but their small black heads above water peep. So fly the Moors, the loadsman who alone the ships in deadly imminent risk had led, deeming his hateful plans to all beknown, plunged in the bitter depths and swimming fled. But as her course had missed the steadfast stone, where every hope of darling life were dead, eftsoons our emerald doth her anchor throw, and near her furling sails the rest come to. Observant Gama, seeing this sudden sight of Moorish strangeness, and surprised to view his pilot flying with accusing flight, divines the plottings of that bestial crew. And when the hindrance showed ne the might of tides that onwards bore, or winds that blew, yet that his flagship forged ahead no more, the marvel hailing thus he 'gan implore: "O chance, strange, passing strange, that gave no sign! O wondrous godsend shown so clear, so plain! O fellest treason, baffled, inopine! O hostile Paynims, false, perfidious strain! Who, of such desperate devilish design, by mortal wisdom could escape the bane, unless there throned in heaven the sovereign guard, to weak humanity strong aid award? Right well hath proved Providence on high, the scanty safety by these ports purveyed; right well appearance showeth every eye how all our confidence hath been betrayed. But since men's wit and wisdom vainly try to sound these feints and foils so deeply laid, O thou, almighty guard, to guard him deign who sans thine aid himself would guard in vain. And if thy holy ruth so condescend to save this people peregrine and poor, who on thy grace and goodness sole depend to force salvation from the false fell Moor, vouchsafe, O Lord, our weary course shall end at some fair harbour sheltered and secure, or show the distant shores we pine to see, since all this sailing is for serving thee." The piteous prayer smote the loving ears of Dionaea fair. Her heart was pain. She left her nymphs all bathed in yearning tears, who by her sudden flight perplexed remain. Now she had thrid the luminous planet spheres, now the third heaven's gateway she had gained. Onward still to the sixth sphere, the throne where high All-Father sits and reigns alone. And, as her way affronting forth she hied, her every gesture such a grace expired, stars, skies, and ethers circumambient tide, and all that saw her with love-fire were fired. Those eyne wherein then Cupid aid doth nide, such vital spirits and all life inspired. The frigid poles with torrid ardours burned, and spheres of arctic frost to flame were turned. And with more love to move her sovereign sire, who aye loved her with a constant will, herself she shows as to the Trojan swain she showed of old on Ida's bosky hill. If her the hunter, who the form of man lost, seeing Dian in the glassy rill, had seen, he ne'er had died by raving hound, erst slain by a sorer and surer wound. Wandered the crispy threads of wavy gold adown a bosom shaming virgin snow. Her milk-hued breasts with every movement rolled where love lay sporting but did nowhere show. Flames with far-flashing fire the zone's white fold wherewith the boy guard every heart aglow, while round those columns' polished curves were climbing desires like ivy parent trunk entwining. A filmy sandal winds around her waist, which delicate sense conceals by modest veiling, and yet not all concealed nor all confessed, the veil red blushing lilies oft revealing. With warmer fondness still to flame his breast, she woos his sight with secret charms assailing. Now all Olympus shakes with jealous jars, rage burneth Vulcan, love inflameth Mars. The while her angel semblance showeth blended with smiles a sadness in the sweetest way, like some fair lady by rude swain offended, incautious rough while playing amorous play, who laughs and laughing pouts with wrath pretended, passing withouten pause from grave to gay. Thus she, the goddess who no rival heedeth, softer than sad, before her father pleadeth. Ay, had I deemed, mighty father mine, in whatsoever my loving breast preferred, to find thee kind and affable and benign, e'en though of hostile heart the hate were stirred. But, as I see thine ire to me incline, ire undeserved, to thee I never have erred. Let Bacchus triumph with his wicked will, while in his wheel I sit and wail mine ill. This folk, these sons of me, for whom I pour the tear that trickleth bootless for thy sight, whose woe, since wish them well, I work the more, when my good wishes but thy wrath excite, for them I weep, for them thine aid implore, and thus in fine with adverse fate I fight. But now, because my love ill fortune bears, I will to will them ill, and we'll be theirs. Yet thus to perish by that wild beast race, for I have been, whereon all lovely flows the burning teardrop bedding down her face, as pearled with glory dew fresh shines the rose, silent awhile, as though her plea for grace the portals of her teeth list not disclose, she had pursued, but ere a word she said, the potent thunderer further plaint forbade. And, moved to pity by such gentle powers, powers made to move the heart of tiger dure, with beaming smile, as when the sky that lowers waxeth serene and clears the lift obscure, he dries his daughter's swelling tears, and showers warm kisses on her cheeks and neck snow pure. In mould that had the place been leer and lone, a pair of Cupids had Olympus known. And, face approaching to the face he prized, whereat the sobbing tears the faster flow, e'en as some yeanling by the nurse chastised weepeth curst with louder feint of woe, to soothe her troubled bosom he devised the future fortunes of her sons to show. Unripping thus from fate's impregnate womb, he opes the mysteries of the things to come. Thou fairest daughter mine, throw far thy fear, lest to thy Lusians happen harm in thine, nor deem my spirit holdeth aught so dear as the sad waters of this sovereign Eye. Thou shalt behold, my daughter, hear me swear, the Greek and Roman dimmed of all his shine. By jests illustrious this thy hero race shall dare and do in eastern dwelling place. If glib Ulysses ere to flee was fated a lifelong slavery on Ogygia's shore, and if Antenor's fortune penetrated Illyric bays to Mavis fount explore, e'en if thy pious Aeneas navigated where seas round Scylla and Charybdis roar, thy nobler science higher grade shall win, shall add new worlds to worlds of older men. Bulwarks and cities and the towering wall built by their valour, daughter, thou shalt see the Turk, deemed bravest brave of all, from their dread prowess forced aid to flee. Shalt see of in the free-born monarchs fall, and own their mightier king's supremacy. And when, in fine, they wield the full command, shall dawn a higher law for every land. Him shalt thou see, who now in hurried flight fares distant Indus through such fears to find, make vasty Neptune tremble with affright, and crisp his wavy waist some breath of wind. O chance ne'er seen, O wonder-teeming sight, this quake of water with glad calm combined! O valiant race, with loftiest thought inbred, whom earth's four elements must regard with dread. This land, that water hath to them denied, shalt see affording surest height, where spent by their long voyaging shall rest and ride Argosies bound from utmost Occident. In fine, this seaboard all, that futile try death's snare to weave, shall pay obedient toll, tithe, and tribute, knowing vain it were to beard the Lusian lion in his lair. Shalt see King Erythra's far-famed mane permute his natural red to fierce pale dye, eke shalt thou see the haughty Hormus reign twice taken, prostrate in their presence lie. There shalt thou see the furious Mormon slain, pierced by his own deflected archery, till all can clearly who thy sons oppose, by their own deed become their deadliest foes. Shalt see of dew th' inexpugnable wall, two sieges braving, while thy sons defend. There shall their valor's worth be shown to all, with feats of arms that every feat transcend. Envy shalt see in Mars majestical, of Lusian fierceness none shall dare offend. There shall they cite the Moor with voice supreme, before high heaven falls Mahound blaspheme. Thou shalt see Goa from the Moslem ta'en, and in near future raised to queenly place, Lady of Orient land sublimely vain of triumphs wrested by thy conquering race. There, with superb, high, haughtiest disdain, the gentle louting low to idols base, they bit and bridle, mastering every land that 'gainst thy Lusians raiseth head or hand. Thou shalt behold the fortalice hold out of Cananore with scanty garnison. Calicut thou shalt see endure sad rout, that erst so populous and puissant town. Shalt in Cochin see one approved so stout, who such an arrogance of the sword hath shown. No harp of mortal sang a similar story, thine of everlasting name, eternal glory. Ne'er with such Mars-taught art and furious flame was Leucus seen in civil wars to glow, when to his Actium fight Augustus came, and laid the injurious Roman captain low. Whom deft Aurora's reign and race to tame, far-famed Nile and Bactria's Scythic foe, despoiled, despite victorious spoils and rare, that fair Egyptian not so chaste as fair. As thou shalt see when ocean boileth over, with fires enkindled by thy Lusians' hate, who captive make the idle man and Moor, and triumph high o'er many a subject state, till, one reach Oria Chersonesus' shore, far as far China they shall navigate, and each remotest isle of Orient hide, and every ocean in their rule shall bide. 'Tis thus, O daughter mine, thy children's lot higher than human vigour to display. Nowhere shall bravery burn and blaze so hot, from Ganges' bank to Gaditanian bay, nor from the boreal billows to the gut where first an injured Lusian brake the way, e'en though their progress o'er the world to oppose, the dead of ages from their tombs arose. This said, he sendeth Maia's son divine to visit lowly earth, and there to seek some harbour's peaceful shelter, with design that all the fleet shall ride some risk of wreck. And, lest in false Mombasa land and dine more of delay the valiant captain make, 'tis Jove's command that be in vision shown a restful region free from restless foam. Now there is space the Cyllenian spanned, descending earth with feathery feet to tread. His hand was armed with the fatal wand, which sheds on weary eyes sweet drowsy head, wherewith he called the sad-eyed shadowy band from Hades, and obedient breezes sped. The winged basnet on his head he bore, and thus he sought Melissodanian shore. Fame is his mate, who mote aloud proclaim the Lusitanian's weight and rarest worth, for mortal breast is won by noble name, that makes the bearer loved of all on earth. Thus winning stranger hearts the herald came, and to the mighty brood gave timely birth. Anon desire Melinde burns to see what mode of man the valorous people be. Thence to Mombasa takes the god his course, where the strange vessels rode in fear afar, to bid the seamen leave, while none the worse those lands suspected in that treacherous bar. For scant availeth human fraud or force against infernals waging treacherous war. Scant availeth heart and art in judgment stayed when human wisdom lacketh heavenly aid. Already night had passed her middle way, and all the starry host with alien light rained on the breadth of earth their radiance gay, and now was sleep tired men's supreme delight. The lustrous captain, weary, wayworn, lay with careful watching through the cares of night. A short repose for anxious eyne he snatched, the men on duty at their quarters watched. When in a vision Maia's son was seen, and heard to say, "Fly, Lusitanian, fly! That wicked monarch snares, that only mean to draw you forwards where ye surely die. Fly, for breathes fair the breeze and smiles serene ether, while stormless sleep the seas and sky. In other part another king more benign sure shelter offereth unto thee and thine. Here naught thou findest but the barbarous rite, the guest right dear to cruel Diomede, ill host that made each miserable wight the wonted forage of his stabled steed. Those altars which Busiris, infame sprite, taught with the stranger's wailing life to bleed, here certes wait thee, an thou longer dwell. Fly then, this folk perfidious, fierce and fell. Steer straight, along this outstretched seaboard run, another land more leal shalt thou find. There, near the belt where th' ever-blazing sun to day and night hath equal space assigned, there to thy squadron honour gladly done, a king, with many a friendly service kind, the surest shelter shall for thee provide, and for your India skilful trusty guide. Mercury thus, enroused from his dreams, the captain rising in a stark dismay, while pierce the palpable obscure bright streams of sudden light and splendid holy ray, then, seen forthwith that him it best beseems in land so vile to make the shortest stay, he bade his master, urged by spirit new, to spread the canvas in what breeze there blew. "Hoist sail," he said, "hoist high in liberal air, for God commands and heaven affects its friends. From yon clear seats was sent a messenger only to speed our steps and shape our ends. Meanwhile the sailors to set sail prepare, all work and either watch its anchor tends. The weighty irons with willing shouts are weighed, and sinewy strength the seaman's pride displayed. Now at what time their anchors high uprose, lurking in night's murk shadows rose the Moor, stealthy to cut the cables of his foes, that all might perish on the rocky shore. But watched with lynx-like glances, clear and close, the Portingals prepared for every store, finding his victims wakeful, then me fled, by wings of terror, not by paddles, sped. But now the narrow sharp-cut prores renew, cleaving the humid argent plain, their road. Blandly the north and eastern trade-wind blew, with gentle movement, as in joyous mood. Past perils in their talk review the crew, for with a fond delay thought loves to brood on dangerous chances, when to death in life comes so near she scarcely scapes the strife. One circle ended Phoebus all aglow, and on a second entered, when appeared in the far offing, sailing sure and slow, two hulls by gently breathing zephyrs steered. And as they must be manned by Moorish foe, our squadron veering soon her prizes neared. This one that feared fearful ills to brave ran straight ashore her crew thereon to save. No similar cunning from such chances led her consort captive of the Lusian hand, which ne by rigorous Mavor's rage had bled, nor felt what furies Vulcan doth command, but weakly, mastered by a craven dread, the feeble forces which the bark let mend, resistance offered none, which happily shone from such resisting greater ills had known. And as the Gama felt him much inclined to seek a guide for India land long sought, he thought a helmsman mid the Moors to find, yet not to him succeeded as he thought. None mote give tidings of the lay of Ind, under what tract of heaven it might be brought, but all declare a harbour lies hard by Melindi, ready pilots to supply. Her king's benevolence the Moormen praise, conditions liberal, rest no guile that new, magnificent, grandiose, and gentle ways, with parts that won respect and honour true. All this to heart for fact our captain lays, since to his vision came such view to show the dream-sent Cylonian. Thus he sped whither the vision and the moorman led. 'Twas the glad season when the god of day into Europa's ravisher 'gan return, when warm at either point his genial ray and Flora scattered Amalthea's horn. The hasty sun that girded the heavenly way brought round the memory of that blessed morn, when he who ruleth all by will divine upon creation stamped his seal and sign. At such a time the squadron neared the part where first Melinda's goodly shore was seen, in awnings dressed and pranked with gallant art, to show that none the holy day must ween. Flutter the flags, the streaming estendard gleams from afar with gorgeous purple sheen. Tom-toms and timbrels mingle martial jar, thus pass they forwards with the pomp of war. Men crowd and jostle on Melinda's strand, hasting to sight the strangers glad are made. A folk more truthful far, humane and bland, than any mat on shores their course had made. Now rides the Lusian fleet anent the land, her ponderous anchors now the depths invade. Forthwith a captured Moor they sent to greet the king, and manifest whence had come the fleet. The king, who well that noble lineage knew, which to the Portingals such worth imparts, prizeth their harbouring at his height as due the praise to braves so prompt in martial arts, and, with a spirit ever pure and true that nobleth generous souls and gallant hearts, he prays by proxy all forthwith may deign to lend and use, as best they choose, his reign. Frank offers these, and made in honour bright, simple the words, undoubted, unprepared, wherewith the monarch greets each noble knight, who o'er such seas and lands so far hath fared. And eke he sendeth muttons fleecy white, with many a creme domesticate poulard, and tropic fruitage which the markets fill, yet his good gifts are given with better will. A glad and eager ear our captain lent to him who spake his sovereign speech benign. Straightway of royal gifts return he sent, stowed in his squadron for such fair design. Purple scarlet, cloth of crimson tint, the branchy coral, highly prized and fine, which in deep waters soft and tender grown, in air doth harden to a precious stone. Eke sends he one well known for courtly wit, who with the king may pact of peace conclude, and prayeth pardon that he could not quit his ships at once and leave the fleet of flood. His trusty trunchman on the land alit, and as before the monarch's face he stood, spake thus in style which only Pallas taught, when praise and prayer firm persuasion wrought. O king sublime, to whom the Olympus pure of his high justice gave the gifted boon, to curb and conquer peoples dar endure to win their love nor less their fear to own, as safe asylum heaven most secure to every oriental nation known, thee have we come to seek, in thee to find the surest medicine of she-wanderer's mind. No pirates we, who fare on ports to prey, and purse-proud cities that in war be weak, thieves, who with fire and steel the people slay, their robber greed on neighbours' goods to wreak. From haughty Europe to the realms of day we sail, and earth's remotest verge we seek, of Ind, the great, the rich, for thus ordaineth the mighty monarch who our country reigneth. What brood so harsh as this was ever bred, what barbarous custom and what usage banned, that can not only men from ports forbid, but grudge the shelter of their desert sand? What of ill will hold they our hearts have hid, that of a folk so few in fear they stand? That traps for us they spread and ready snares, and work their worst whereby we die unawares? But thou, wherein full surely we confide, to find, O king benign, an honest man, and hope such certain aid to see supplied, as gave Alcinous to the lost Ithacan, to this thy haven sure we stem the tide, with the divine interpreter in van. For as he sendeth us to thee, 'tis clear thy heart must e'en be rare, humane, sincere. And deem not thou, O king, that dread'st to land our famous captain thee to serve and see, for aught he sees of base or underhand, or aught suspects of faults and feigned in thee. But know he acteth by the high command, a law of all obeyed implicitly, his king's own hest forbidding him t' explore and from his squadron land at port or shore. And since of subjects king may thus require, for of the head should members heed the sway, thou, kingly office, never shalt desire the liege his lord's command to disobey. But the high benefits and those gifts still higher by thee bestowed he promised to repay, with all that done by him or his can be, long as the rolling rivers seek the sea. Thus he, when all conjoint their voices raised, while each to each his separate thoughts conveyed, by the high stomach of the race amazed, who through such seas and skies their way had made. The illustrious king for loyalty bepraised the Portingals, the while his spirit weighed how high his value, strong his orders are, whose royal word is heard in lands so far. And with a smiling mien and pleased face he hailed the herald, proffering high esteem. All black suspicions from your bosoms chase, nor let your souls with frigid terror teem. Such be your gallant worth, your works of grace, the world your deeds shall aye most glorious deem. And whoso holdeth right to do you wrong, ne truth ne noble thoughts to him belong. That all you warmen may not instant land, observing customed preeminence, though surely grieved by your king's command, yet much reprize so much obedience. Yet, as your orders our desire withstand, nor we consent to see such excellence of heart, such loyalty of soul, belied, that our good wishes sole be gratified. But as tomorrow's sun on earth shall shine, all our flotilla shall make holiday. To seek your sturdy fleet is our design, we have so longed to see full many a day. And if your sea-tossed vessels bear the sign of angry tempests in their tedious way, here they shall find in friendly form and guise pilots, munitions, victual, and supplies. He spake, and 'neath the sea-rim sank to rest Latona's son, when home the herald hied, with the fair message to the fleet addressed in a light canoe that fast outran the tide. Now joy and gladness filled every breast, all had the perfect cure at length descried, discovery of the land, long wished for sight, and thus they festivaled with glee the night. Aboard this foison of those artful rays, whose splendors mock the tremulous hairy star, now every bombardier his boast displays, till ocean's thunder answers earth and air. The Cyclops' art is shown in various ways, in fire-stuffed shells and burning bombs of war. Others with voices which invade the skies make brazen notes from blaring trumps arise. Echoes a loud reply the ready shore, with buzzing fireworks forming giddy gyre, while burning wheels afar in either soar, sulphurous dust deep hid explodes in fire. Heaven-high resounds the multitudinous roar, the soft blue waters dawn flames red attire, nor blazeth land the less, 'tis thus friends greet their friends as foemen who in battle meet. Again the restless spheres revolving sped, to olden drudgery dooming men anew. Again did Memnon's mother radiance shed, and from the sluggard's eyne soft sleep withdrew. The latest shadow slowly melting fled on earthly florets weeping frigid dew, when the Melindan king took boat that he might view the squad that swam the Blackmoor sea. Boiling about him, swarming round the bay, dense crowds glad gathered and enjoyed the sight. Caftans of finest purple glisten gay, glance splendid robes with silken tissue dye. In lieu of warrior lance and hair-segay, and bow whose burnished cusps mock Luna's light, aloft the revellers bear the palmy bough, the fittest crown that decks the conqueror's brow. A spacious, stately barge, o'er-canopied with dainty silks of divers teinture stain, beareth Melinda's king, accompanied by lords and captains of the land he reigned. Rich clad he cometh, with what pomp and pride his country customs and his taste ordain. A precious turban winds around his head, of cotton wrought with gold and silken thread. Caftan of costly texture damascene, the Tyrian collar onward there vailed. Torque round his collar, shining golden sheen, whose wealth of work its wealth of ore excelled, glitters and gleams with radiance diamantine, dog-targe of costly price by girdle held, and show, in fine, upon his sandals shoon, velvets with seed-pearl and gold-spangles strewn. With silken sunshade, high and round of guise, fast to its handle bound, a gilded spear, a minister the solar ray defies, lest hurt of baleful beam the high king bear. High in the poop his strange glad music hies, of asprest noise, most horrible to the ear, of arched trumpets writhed in curious round, roaring a rough, rude, unconcerted sound. Nor with less garnishment our Lusitanians swift sailing galleys from the squadron bore, to meet and greet the noble Melindanian, begirt by goodly company galore. The Gama cometh, dight in dress Hispanian, but of French work the doublet was he wore, satin which Adrian Venice works and stains, crimson, a color which such prize obtains. Buttons of gold his looped sleeves confine, where solar glancings dazzle gazing eyes. Hosen of soldier fashion, purfled shine, with the rich metal fortune oft denies. Points of the same the slashes deftly join, gored in his doublet with right delicate ties. Gold-hilted sword in mould of Italy, plume in his bonnet worn a little wry. In the suit and escort of the captain showed, of the dye murex, tires surpassing tint, the various shades that joyed men's eyne and mode of dress devised with fashion different. Such was the enamel, and as bright it glowed with cunning colours in quaint mixture blent, as though her rutland bow had reared in air the maid of Thomas, fairest of the fair. Sonorous trumpets, manly breasts in sight, gladding the heart with martial music gay, churned the Moorish keel's blue waters wide, and awnings sprent with dews of pearly spray. The horrid sounding bombards thunder fright, while smoky hangings veil the splendid day. Roar the hot volleys, hurtling sound so loud, fain close with hands their ears the Moorish crowd. And now the king our captain's galley sought, who strained in his arms the welcome guest. He, with a courtesy which reason taught, his host, who was of royal rank, addressed. Noted the admiring Moor, with marvel fraught, his visitor's every mode and look and jest, as one regarding with a huge esteem folk who so far in quest of India came, and to him proffers in his phrase high flown whatever goods his realm and heaven boast, the while commanding him to hold his own what store might haply serve his turn the most. Eke he assures him fame had made well known the Lusian name ere Lusians reached his coast, for long 'twas rumoured that in realms afar it had with peoples of his law waged war. How Afric continent's farthest shores resound, he told him, with great deeds the warmen did, whose long campaigns the conquerors had crowned, lords of the lands where dwelt the Hesperid. With long harangue he taught the crowd around the least deserts the Lusians merited, and yet the most that fame was fain to teach, when thus da Gama to the king made speech. O thou, whose soul hast seen with pitiful eye, benignant king, our Lusitanian race, which in such misery dire hath dared defy fate and the furies of mad seas to face, may yon divine eternity on high, that ruleth man, revolve in skiey space, since gifts so goodly givest thou, I pray, the heavens repay thee what we never may. Of all Apollo bronzed hath thou soul peaceful didst greet us from th' abysmal sea. To thee from Aeolus winds that moan and howl we find good, truthful, glad security. Long as its stars leads forth the vasty pole, long as the sun shall light the days to be, wherever I haply live, with fame and glory, shall live thy praises in my people's story. He spake, and straight the barges 'gan to row, whither the Moormen would review the fleet. Rounding the vessels one by one they go, that every notable thing his glance may meet. But Vulcan skywards volleying horrible low, with dire artillery hastes the guest to greet, while trumpets loud canorous accents bland with shawms the Moorish hosts their answers send. When due attention to the sights had lent the generous Moslem, filled with thrilling wonder, and hearing eke th' unwonted instrument that told its dreadful might in fiery thunder, he bade the light batel wherein he went at anchor quiet ride the flagship under, that with the doughty Gama he might hold converse of matters erst by rumour told. The Moor in varied dialogue took delight, and now he prayed the visitor would expound each war renowned and famous feat of fight fought with the races that adore Mahound. Now of the peoples he would gain a sight that hold our ultimate Hispanian ground, then of the nations who with us confine, then of the mighty voyage o'er the brine. But first, O valiant captain, first relate, quoth he, with all the diligence thou can, what lands and climes compose your natal state, and where your home, recount with regular plan, nor less your ancient lineage long ungrayed, and how your kingdom's lofty rule began, with all your early deeds of daring-do, e'en now, though known them not, their worth we know. And prithee further say how o'er the main, long on this voyage through fierce seas you strayed, seeing the barbarous ways of alien strain, which our rude Africland to you displayed. Begin, for now the team with golden rain draws near, and drags the new sun's car, inlaid with marquetry, from cold aurora skies, sleep wind and water, smooth the wavelet lies. And as the occasion such a fitness showeth, so is our wish your wondrous tale to hear. Who dwells among us but by rumour knoweth the Lusitanian's labours singular? Deem not so far from us removed gloweth resplendent soul, that need thy judgment fear to find malignant nurse so rude a breed, which can ne prize ne praise a noble deed. Vainly the haughty Olden giants vied by war to win Olympus clear and pure. Pirith and Theseus, mad with ignorance, tried of Pluto's realm to burst the dread obscure. If in the world such works hath worked pride, not less 'tis labour excellent endure, bold as it was to brave both heaven and hell, for a man o'er-raging Nereus to prevail. With fire consumed Dian's sacred fane, that masterpiece of subtle Ctesiphon, Herostratus, who by such deed would gain of world-wide fame the high immortal boon. If greed of foolish praise and glory vain to action so perverse may urge man on, more reason 'tis to crown with endless fame deeds that deserve, like gods, a deathless name. End of Canto 2.